My wife stole our daughter's Christmas gift to give to her niece, so divorce is mine and karma got another. I'm confused and bewildered. This situation involves Katy, 47, and our daughter, Mindy, 14. Katy and I were married for 18 years. Katy loves her sister, Sandra, and her daughter, Taya, more than her own family, and now it's affecting our daughter's well-being. Her obsession with them is so frustrating that now we have started resenting her. However, it wasn't always like this. Katy and I met when she was in her early 20s. She was centered and secure, with a quiet strength. She didn't scream for attention and stood firmly in the background. I was drawn to that. Back then, her being close to her sister wasn't a problem. I found it sweet and understandable. They had a rough life, lost their mother when they were young. Their dad remarried quickly, thinking his new wife would take care of them. But that became more of a problem than a solution. Their stepmom hated them and made their lives miserable. She had kids from her first marriage who bullied these girls, and their dad turned a blind eye to their suffering. These sisters grew up being each other's support system, with Sandra, being the elder one, taking the hits and protecting Katy. Their sisterhood made sense. They had each other's backs when no one else did. In the initial years, Katy was a solid partner. We weren't movie-style romantic, but we had understanding and teamwork. She never asked for more than I could give, especially when I was working hard to get my tire shop up and running. I respected that. She did her thing, spent time with Sandra, and gave me my space. It worked for us, but somewhere along the way, things stopped feeling like ours and more like hers and Sandra's, with me tagging along. What I thought was healthy sisterhood morphed into a third element in our marriage. I began to notice that everything in our life had Sandra's fingerprints on it. Initially, it seemed harmless. Katy discussed her daily activities with Sandra. I know women do that with their friends, sisters, and mothers, so no problem there. But I started feeling annoyed when Katy told Sandra about every decision we made, big or small. I didn't sign up for a marriage with a co-pilot I didn't choose. Sandra even offered opinions about my business. Katy saw her as a counselor for raising Mindy. Whenever I voiced my concerns, Katy brushed it off, saying things like, "She's all I have. If my mom were here, I'd lean on her too. She's raising her daughter, too. What's wrong with taking some advice from her?" I got it, but there's a difference between taking advice and blindly following it. I'm not saying Sandra is a bad person. She's been through hell. Her husband was an addict, which drained her emotionally and financially. It's admirable how she worked hard, juggling 2 jobs, managing the house, and raising her daughter. Her daughter, Taya, also took on responsibilities from a young age. However, being around her meant we always had to foot the bill, whether it was for dinner, vacations, or even school events. Katy never hesitated, and when I did, she'd give me this look like I was being cheap. She'd say, "We are in a better place financially. It's not a big deal for us." Taya is 16, and our daughter, Mindy, is 14. Taya is quite outgoing, excels in academics and sports, and runs the house when Sandra is not around. Brilliant, right? Yeah, but she never misses a chance to rub her achievements in other people's faces. She makes sure everyone around her acknowledges her successes. Mindy prefers to stay within her circle. She's good in studies and decent in sports. I never compare her to other kids, but Katy does, always. Mindy and Taya have a similar age gap to Sandra and Katy expected them to be as close as she and Sandra are. But kids aren't mirrors, and you can't force friendships. Mindy didn't like spending time with Taya. She's not mean, she just has her reasons. She feels Taya is bossy and makes her do things she doesn't enjoy. It's not hard to accept that kids have the right to choose their friends, but Katy forces this on Mindy. Because of that, my daughter feels neglected and unloved by her mother. Katy has this habit of calling Taya her elder daughter. In Katy's eyes, Taya is the ideal kid, and she wants our daughter to be more like her. When the girls were younger, it was fine. Now, Mindy takes it badly. Recently, we were at a family barbecue. and one of my cousins joked that Taya looked like Katy. Katy beamed with pride and said, "Why wouldn't she? She's my daughter." I saw the shift in Mindy's face, cold as stone. She excused herself, walked into the house, and didn't come out again that night. That night, Mindy asked me, "Do you think Mom loves me?" I told her, obviously, yes. Is that even a question? She shrugged and walked away. She was hurt. I confronted Katy later. "You said it like it was nothing. Do you realize how messed up that is?" She got defensive. "Oh, for God's sake, you both are so sensitive." I didn't mean it that way. Everyone knows Mindy is my only daughter. A few months ago, Mindy needed help with her science project. I was out of town that week. She'd already done most of it. Just needed Katy's help to write the captions under the pictures, print, and paste the presentation board. Katy kept postponing it. "Busy day, tired tonight, we'll do it tomorrow." The day before the deadline, Mindy stayed up all night doing her project. She texted her mom asking where she was and if she could help, but Katy was helping Taya with her own project. Mindy called me, crying. I dialed Katy furiously, and she defended herself, saying Taya needed help because it was a very tough project which she couldn't do on her own. Sandra had 2 jobs, and Mindy could handle the printing and pasting herself. All these incidents increased the tension between them. The breaking point came last week. It was Mindy's 14th birthday. She wanted to go to an amusement park with 2 of her close friends. She didn't want a party, just that. I even took the day off to go with them. Then Katy had this idea. Let's combine it with Taya's celebration. She just got a full scholarship for the International Science Excursion. I told her not to. Mindy didn't want that. She wanted her own day. Katy promised it would be her day, but at the end, they would announce Taya's achievement and wrap up the celebration. I still refused, sticking with the amusement park plan. However, last minute, it started raining, and we had to do it indoors. I requested Katy not to invite Sandra and Taya, as Mindy wasn't comfortable with them. Katy snapped back. She needs to learn social graces. Sandra and Taya brought their friends along, who crashed the party. Right after they cut Mindy's cake, Katy brought out another cake for Taya, which was even bigger and more expensive. Mindy was crushed, and so was I. We didn't expect Katy to bring Taya's cake and announce it right after the celebration. Mindy just sat there, spending the rest of the evening on her phone. Her friends also felt awkward and left early. I pulled Katy aside and confronted her. Look what you did on our daughter's birthday. She threw her hands up to stop me and said, "You and Mindy are making such a big deal. She's not a kid anymore. She needs to learn that life doesn't revolve around her." I replied, "She's 14. This was supposed to be about her for one day. And again, you made it about Taya." She replied curtly, "She's just moody. Everything is a problem with her lately, and you always take her side." I retorted, "I take her side because you don't, as her mother." Since then, Mindy hasn't spoken to her mom. Katy apologized to Mindy later, but it was forced. Even I felt it. Mindy made it clear she didn't want Sandra and Taya at her birthday, ever again. Later that day, Mindy asked me, "Why are you still with Mom, only for me? Doesn't that make you unhappy?" I said, "Your mom was a good person. She supported me in every way. But the truth is, I stayed out of fear of repeating what my parents did. My parents separated when I was 10. They promised I'd be their priority, but over time, they built their own families and I was unwanted in both. I didn't want my daughter to grow up that way, but now I'm starting to wonder if staying is just a different way of causing damage. This doesn't feel like a family anymore. It's Katy and Sandra in their world, with Mindy and me orbiting on the outside. I don't hate Katy, but I don't know how to love her like this. I'm not even sure she sees the damage she's causing, and maybe that's the worst part. She believes she's being noble, by uplifting Sandra and Taya, and thinks she's doing the right thing. Somewhere along the way, she forgot about the people closest to her. She forgot about us, so here I am, wondering if this is just a phase one have to ride out, or a sign that this marriage has run its course. It's too late to redraw the lines of what a family should be. I don't know, but I'm tired of being the third wheel in my own marriage. And I think my daughter deserves better than that. So do I posted all this anonymously on an online group, just looking for an outside perspective. It's hard to make decisions when you're in the middle of the storm. Some people got it, but many others said I was probably going through a midlife crisis, that I was overreacting, that no one gets divorced over sister closeness or teenage drama. It stung because this isn't drama. It's watching my daughter shrink under the weight of being second best in her own home. It's knowing that if the roles were reversed, if I prioritized my brother and his daughter over Katy and Mindy, I'd instantly be painted as the villain. It's not a midlife crisis. It's a slow, painful realization that this isn't the life I wanted. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe. New stories every day. Update 1. I'm getting a divorce. Yep, the breaking point came this Christmas. Mindy had her heart set on a camera. She'd been saving up for this mid-range DSLR camera for a couple of years. Cut down her spending, saved her allowance, even tucked away some babysitting money. She was stoked and had been talking about it for months. I promised to match whatever she saved for Christmas. I bought it and wrapped it, waiting for Christmas morning. Christmas morning, Mindy tore open the wrapping paper, and inside was a sweater and a book. Meanwhile, Taya posted a story showcasing her Christmas present. And guess what? A camera. Tagged Katy, thanking her for the generous gift. I pulled Katy aside, furious. What the hell was that? She didn't even look fazed by this. Taya really needed it for school. She has an audiovisual class next semester. I was enraged. Needed it. Right, and what about our daughter? You do realize she saved every penny for that camera? Made so many sacrifices. She gave me a sigh. Oh, please don't take everything so seriously. Mindy is being dramatic. She's so reactive lately. It's just typical teenage hormones. I told her the truth. She's not overreacting. She just saw her mother give her something she'd been saving for months. You stole her gift to give it to Taya. That's pathetic. She replied, I bought her this sweater and that book to make up for her money. I was speechless. It has come to this, that we are gifting something to our daughter with her own money. She said, relax, we'll buy her one next time. I was so angry. I mean, she's showering love on her niece and doesn't have an ounce of compassion for her own daughter. And on top of it, lectured me, God, again you're taking her side. Taya needed it more. She is focused, responsible. Honestly, Mindy could learn a thing or two from her. That was the first time I heard her say this, and since then, there was no going back. Taya was elected class president, and Katy has been bragging about it, lecturing Mindy about how she should take communication and personality development tips from her. I always resisted this. I told her, everyone is different. If you're so proud of her, maybe you should adopt her and leave us alone. Katy got defensive. You think I don't love my daughter? Is that what you're saying? Taya just appreciates me. She listens, unlike Mindy, who slams doors and acts like I'm the villain. I stormed out, saying, she acts that way because you keep proving that she's not your first priority. Christmas was ruined for Mindy, no matter how much I tried to fix it. She refused to come out of her room, just stayed there curled up with her phone, pretending to be fine whenever I peeked in. But she wasn't fine, I knew it. The spark she usually had around the holidays was gone. I couldn't see her sitting there like that. So, I drove to the next town and bought the camera she'd wanted. I knew it wasn't going to undo what had happened, but I had to do something. I knocked on her door, left the wrapped package outside, and texted her, open the door, kiddo. I kept staring at the door. I didn't want Katy stealing another gift again. She opened it slightly, saw the box, and her face changed. There wasn't a big smile, no jumping up and down, just a quiet kind of happy. She hugged me tight, tears in her eyes, and whispered, thanks, Dad. But it wasn't the happy she would have had if she'd received it in the morning. That Christmas magic was already tainted. Still, I hugged her tighter, wishing I could fix everything. Katy saw that and frowned. She confronted me when Mindy wasn't around. You're spoiling her, going soft. She needs to learn to deal with disappointment. I told her, we'll talk about this after the holidays. I'm not going to ruin the rest of Christmas for Mindy. Katy said, fine, get ready. We have to go to Sandra's for dinner. I refused. Mindy and I are staying home. Katy protested, we have an invitation. I replied, I don't want to go, and neither does my daughter. She hissed, I know she doesn't want to go, and you're covering for her. You're spoiling her. I stared at her and turned around. She went without us. I stood up for my daughter, and we had a quiet evening talking about her school and life. Katy was so busy enjoying her holidays with them that she barely noticed the cracks in the family. On New Year's Eve, Katy demanded we all go out with Sandra and Taya. I said no, Mindy doesn't enjoy spending time with them, and we are not ruining New Year's Eve for her. She lost it, accusing me of joining Mindy in turning our daughter against her. I replied, it's my responsibility to make our daughter feel protected. And it's yours too, so you have to make a choice, either you stay with us or you go by yourself. And I'm warning you, if you choose to be with them today, we are separating. She rolled her eyes like I was overreacting, like it was a bluff. She walked out of the house to celebrate New Year's with Sandra and Taya. Anyway, after she left, Mindy thanked me for saving her. I sat her down and told her I was thinking about separation. She looked at me and burst into tears. She asked if it was because of her and promised to be a better daughter. My heart broke. I hugged her and said, no, honey, it's not you. None of this is your fault. You've been more patient and stronger than any kid should have to be. I explained to her as best as I could, without bad-mouthing Katy, how sometimes staying together can do more damage than leaving. Mindy said she understood. We went out, just the two of us. We laughed, ate junk food, watched the fireworks from the back of my truck, and she used her new camera. It was the happiest I'd seen her in months. Katy didn't come back on January 1st. Texted saying she had the worst hangover. Came back on the 2nd, acting like nothing happened. I showed her the pre-filled divorce papers. She was stunned and yelled, what the hell? Why are you doing this? I said, should have done this earlier, never stood up for my own rights. Maybe I didn't need to, but now I have to take a stand for my daughter. She turned it around and accused me of having an affair. I replied, you know the reason very well. You always choose your sister and her family over me, so why should I stay with you? She brushed it off, saying I was divorcing her over the New Year's Eve incident. I said, the breaking point was Christmas. New Year's Eve was just another exhibit, but the real reason has been building up for years. She said proudly, fine, if you don't want me, I'm not going to stop you. I replied, great, then you better leave because it's awkward having you around. She told me, why should I leave? I'm staying here with my daughter. You leave, this is your decision. I laughed in her face, seriously? You think your daughter wants to stay with you? She lashed out, of course, she's going to stay with me. That's what happens after a divorce, kids live with their mother. I replied, yeah, kids usually choose mothers, but in this case, she will choose me, her dad, because her mom has other priorities. She retorted, let's see who she chooses. You need to find a solid excuse to tell her about the divorce. I replied, she already knows everything and supports my decision. She reacted like I betrayed her. She called Mindy and verified if she knew the truth. Mindy nodded and said, yes mom, maybe it's best that we are with the people we love. Me with dad, and you with them. Katy walked out of the house furious with rage. The next day, I asked her to check the assets we were going to divide to start the process. She acted as if it was a surprise. Told me, why are you still doing this? What have I done wrong? I was only being kind to my sister. I'm paying the price for being good. I replied, no, you're facing the consequences of being negligent towards your own family. She didn't touch the papers and started crying. Pleaded with me to be kind to her and see things from her perspective. I said, I have been doing that for too long, not anymore. You should think about us too. Then she went to Mindy's room and broke down, apologizing, promising she'd be a better mother if she gave her a chance. I told her, you'll always be her mother, despite the divorce, nobody can take that away from you. Mindy remained indifferent to her mom's emotions. That's the amazing thing about this generation, they are so resolute. Said she can't forget how she was mistreated by her own mother, and that shattered her trust. Katy again asked if there was anything she could do to fix it. Mindy replied, you're going to cut off Aunt Sandra and Taya forever. Katy looked at me, surprised. I didn't say anything. She asked Mindy if that was what she really wanted. Mindy said, yes, cut them off if I'm your daughter for once in your life, focus on us. Dad might change his mind too. That took me by surprise because I wasn't in the mood to give this marriage another chance. But before I could react, Katy said, you two are ridiculous, you're being cruel. These are not the kind of values I appreciate my daughter having. Then, stormed out. Later, I asked Katy to leave because this was getting ugly. Mindy and I needed a break from the daily emotional breakdowns. She wasn't ready to accept the reality, neither the divorce nor that she was causing us pain. Told her, divorce is imminent. The sooner you accept it, the better it will be for you. She stammered, where am I supposed to go? I shrugged, maybe with your elder daughter and your sister. Seems like that's where you always wanted to be. She got bitter and said, if you want me to go away from them, that's not going to happen, they are family. I replied, that's why, go and live with them. She said, once I leave, you'll regret it. Both of you will regret it. She started packing. I chuckled and closed the door behind her. She was leaving, knocked on Mindy's door, and said, you're being so manipulated, soon you'll realize. I was expecting her to stop her. She turned to me and said, today you're not going to stop me. Don't call me or text me, I'm never coming back. I looked away. After she left, Mindy came out of her room and sat next to me quietly. We didn't say much, just hugged me and asked me to take her to the deli. We went and ate in silence. It's been peaceful since then. We'll update about the divorce soon. Update 2. After moving out, Katy obviously went to live with Sandra. Didn't tell her the whole truth, just that we had a fight, brushing it off as a typical marital spat. Didn't mention the divorce. Maybe she thought I'd cool down or miss her and end up going back to her, apologizing. I guess she forgot that I'd already been doing that for years. A month later, my lawyer served her the official divorce papers, nicely drafted with asset division wool laid out. That's when the panic started. Katy called me furiously. So, this is happening. I replied, yes, please don't start this again. I don't want to argue all this again. She started crying, and I hung up. The next day, Sandra called me. I let the call go to voicemail the first time. She called again and again. On the fourth call, I answered. She started innocently. Katy has been down for a while. Is everything all right? Bluntly, I replied, yes, we are getting a divorce. She asked why. I said, you. There was an awkward silence. Then she started, look, I know things got rough between you two, but divorce. Seriously, what happened suddenly? I sighed, you've been in the middle of our marriage for years. This shouldn't surprise you. She played dumb again. What's really going on? Midlife crisis? Bored? I replied, I have started seeing the truth of my marriage. How it was co-ruled by you. She retorted, oh please, don't use me as an excuse. It wasn't me who made you guys fight. I told her it wasn't her business. Then why was she calling me? She took a deep breath and said, all I'm saying is Mindy is a young kid, a teenager with raging hormones. You shouldn't take her so seriously. You can't let her make the decisions. It wasn't just my daughter. It was our marriage in general. I realized she probably was manipulating Katy in a similar way. She continued, you saw how I raised Taya. She excels at everything. Honestly, Mindy has always been a bit fragile, hasn't she? You could leave her here for a week, and she can learn a thing or two from Taya. You'll see all your problems disappear. I reacted furiously. This is how you've been turning Katy against her family. She doesn't take her daughter seriously. Doesn't take her husband seriously. My daughter is not dramatic. She saw how her own mom gave someone else the title of daughter. You three have been jerks to her. I can't let my daughter suffer anymore, so stay away from us. She said, you've changed. You're not like this. Or maybe you're not in a good mood today. I'll call later. I replied, no, don't bother, because this is what you're going to get from now on. Stay out of my life, and stay away from my daughter. She hung up but texted me to reconsider my decision, that I was overreacting, and this was a mistake I'd regret. A few days later, Katy showed up at the house, asked me if we could talk. I let her in. Started with the same old script. I made some mistakes, but divorce was unnecessary. Maybe I didn't realize my kindness was going to cost me, and stuff like that. Said, please give me a chance to be a better wife, a better mother. The usual. I asked her if there was anything else she wanted to talk about, as I was tired of these conversations. She asked me to put the legal stuff on hold and let her sort out the matter with Mindy first. I replied that the divorce and her relationship with Mindy were two separate things. She tried to reason that I was getting divorced because of Mindy. I gave up on trying to reason with her and told her to finish the matter she had come for and next time inform before showing up. She also tried to talk to Mindy, knocked on her door. Mindy didn't respond. After several knocks, she opened the door only halfway. Katy pleaded for a minute, said she missed her, wanted to fix things. Mindy stood there, stone-faced, then said, I will only talk to you if you stop calling Taya your daughter. Only if you choose me, and only me. Katy went silent, looked uncomfortable, and quickly switched the subject to, please don't let your anger destroy our marriage. I love you, I carried you, raised you, made so many sacrifices for you. Mindy listened to the rant without interest, then dropped the bomb. You know your so-called daughter has spread the rumor in the basketball club that I was making Dad divorce you. I, too, was shocked by this revelation. Mindy and Taya do go to the same basketball class, but in different groups. After Katy received the papers, Taya spread the rumor that Mindy was the reason we were getting divorced. Mindy became the subject of gossip. It was then I realized why Mindy had been avoiding the class for the last couple of weeks. I asked her why she didn't tell me this before. She broke down and said she didn't want to add more stress and kept it to herself. I glared at Katy. You know what your perfect daughter did, now leave us alone. She went silent for a moment and then stammered, I will talk to her. At that very instant, Mindy slammed the door in her mother's face. Katy stood there for a few minutes. Then, without a word, packed the rest of her things, one bag at a time, and left. You could see she was broken. Meanwhile, I sat with Mindy. We talked about everything, what she'd been carrying, what I'd been carrying, how none of this was okay. I gave her hope that things would get better from now on, that she should open up about her feelings during therapy. I've enrolled both of us, separately, plus some sessions together. I know it won't be a quick fix. You can't undo what's already broken. But maybe you can learn to live with it, heal around it. I asked her if she wanted to enroll in another basketball class. She replied, no, that's the best one, I should learn to deal with it. She's been quieter than usual, but she's calm and looks at peace, like she knows she's safe again. That's all I ever wanted for her, peace and happiness. As for Katy, she signed the papers yesterday. I don't know how she is. I haven't asked, won't. She made her choices, and now I'm making mine. Update 3. The divorce is final. We divided the assets cleanly. I kept the house, not to be petty, but because it's where Mindy feels most at home. Paid Katy her share of the house in cash. Split our savings, pension fund, and everything else that legally needed sorting. There wasn't any drama in that part, just cold math. But she had a surprise for me. Demanded spousal support at the last minute. A huge sum. Honestly, didn't see that coming. I asked her if she was serious. She looked me straight in the eye and said, You made the decision, you ended the marriage. I sacrificed my life for this family, you owe me compensation. I refused to pay this and told my lawyer to fight tooth and nail. But it didn't end there. She filed for joint custody. I saw red but kept quiet. Let the court handle it. I told Mindy what was going on and asked if she wanted to say anything. She didn't hesitate. In that court, my daughter sat across from her mother and calmly destroyed her. Spoke like someone way older than her age. Made it clear she didn't want her to have custody. Didn't want Katy deciding anything for her. Didn't want Katy calling, texting, or showing up. Made it very clear that she wanted nothing to do with her. The judge asked her to elaborate. She did. She's been calling my cousin her daughter right in front of me. Compares me to her, gave her the camera I'd been saving up for, hijacked my birthday, made me feel invisible and worthless in my own home. And when I finally said something, she called me dramatic and hormonal. Then her niece told everyone at my basketball club that I broke up their marriage. Looked at Katy and said, "You never chose me, Mom, so now I choose Dad." Katy broke down, pleading with the court, saying, she's just a kid, she's confused and upset. Please don't let her decide this. She can't stay with her father, it won't do her any good. She's old enough to understand the consequences, not mature enough to decide for herself. The court didn't see it that way. Mindy may not be legally an adult, but she was an adult in her own right, and was clear and controlled with her thoughts. Katy's plea was dismissed and joint custody was denied, unless Mindy wanted it. I still have full custody. The case finally closed, and we are both happier than ever. Katy spent the summer with my parents on their farm, with horses, goats, and chickens. Cleaned stables, fed chickens, and picked tomatoes from the garden. My dad says she has her grandma's calm and my stubbornness. She came back beaming, freckled, sunburned, and full of stories. Said she had the best summer of her life. Katy never approved of her spending time at my parents' place, saying it wasn't safe for her to be around the animals. A few days ago, she barged into my room and, in her teenage way, announced, "I made you a dating profile." I said, "You did what?" She smirked, "You gotta give love a chance, Dad. You're not that old." She'd been asking me to start dating after her mom moved out. I'd been putting it off because it was early. Wasn't ready and definitely wasn't feeling young enough for dating energy. It was the hardest laugh I'd had in months. But she wasn't kidding. She showed me the profile. I admit, she chose some flattering pictures and made me sound less grumpy than I am. What she wrote about me on my profile made me blush so hard. I admit I'm starting to feel young now. Joined the gym on her insistence. Have been out with a couple of women, coffee dates, but that's it. Taking it slow. Not looking for anything now. For now, I'm just learning to be a whole person again. Mindy is doing well in therapy, so am I. We haven't completely healed, but we are healing day by day. I'm so proud of how she handled the situation at the basketball class. Didn't give in. Put Taya in her place without being cruel. That's the update for now. Update 4. This got interesting. Hold on tight. So, a few days ago, Mindy comes up to me and drops this, so casually. At her basketball club, someone from Taya's circle informed her that Sandra and Taya have pretty much brutally sidelined Katy. Apparently, since the divorce, they've been calling her clingy and needy. Taya, in particular, said she didn't want to be around a whiny divorcee because it ruins the vibe. Very classy, right? Katy sacrificed everything for her only to be ghosted by them. Initially, I laughed and dismissed it as teenage gossip or an exaggerated rumor. But then Mindy, being the inquisitive teenager that she is, stalked Taya's profile. And yeah, she was right. Picture after picture of their vacations, dinners, outings, weekend getaways, coffee dates, everything on their stories. Captions like, "Us, perfect duo, family, mom and I." Katy wasn't in any of them, not a single one. They are living their lives as if Katy never existed. Taya started working part-time at a local coffee shop downtown. Sandra has been bragging about her daughter's work ethic, social media stories, and who's behind the camera, beaming like a proud mom. Sandra, not Katy. With her first paycheck, they went on vacation to a coastal town a few hours away, posting all over social media. There wasn't a trace of Katy. I remember there were hardly any vacations where I managed to keep Sandra out of the plan. Otherwise, Katy wouldn't go without them. Katy had a birthday last month, but there wasn't a post about her, not even a courtesy tag. Before, Taya used to write heartfelt, gratitude-filled posts for Katy, expressing how grateful she was for everything Katy did for her. Taya used to adore Katy. Now, ghosted her. As an adult, you see things, maybe smirk, but quickly move on. Teenagers don't process pain that way. They feel it deep and raw, and sometimes don't filter their reactions. Mindy showed me these pictures and said she chose them and genuinely thought they'd choose her, but karma came back with an eye roll. I didn't say much. What was there to say? She was right. The next thing I knew, Mindy told me Katy showed up at her school. When she was walking out of school, Katy was waiting for her outside. Mindy saw her and ignored her. Katy ran to her and asked for a minute. She was desperate. I expected Mindy to blow her off or ghost her. But no, she said she agreed to talk to her, sat with her in the nearby park, and listened. Mindy said Katy looked different. Katy told her how she regretted ruining our marriage for Sandra and Taya, and how she let them interfere in our lives. How she thought they would be her support system after the separation. How she never imagined the people she defended, protected, and prioritized would sideline her like this. Admitted that she couldn't undo the past, but hoped maybe she could try for a second chance as a mother. Mindy's reply was swift. That's not happening. I'm happy with Dad. And why are you telling me all this? What's the point? What happened to your elder daughter and sister as a mom? Katy broke down and started spilling everything, hoping to get sympathy points from Mindy. Turns out, once the divorce process started, Sandra sat Katy down and told her she needed to find her own place, because they weren't prepared to house her permanently. Katy was taken aback. When Sandra's marriage ended, Katy stepped up, paid her rent, covered utilities, took care of Taya when Sandra had to work double shifts. Practically,